I'm going to ask us, I don't know if everyone's familiar with the Ingoma, just to show me the room, get us going while we're setting up, and we start this beautiful conference. I'm not a good singer, but I will get it started. Lelisize lamakhosikazi asoze laphela amandla asoze laphela amandla lelilizwe lamakhosikazi Conference as women. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, ladies. I'm just very careful not to say ladies and gentlemen. We have a few of them here. But we're very, very much honored to have you here today with us. This is very beautiful to see the camaraderie and the energy that you bring together when women meet together. I must confess it's one of the rarest opportunities I have And so it feels different to be in a space like that and to hear that voices coming through. Of course, it's a testament of your commitment to such a cause like ours, that we are committed as an organization to continue enhancing women's development and leadership. We truly believe that there is an opportunity for that to happen, and of course, we know that this conference is taking place at a time when our nation is really experiencing a range of crossroads. And one of them, of course, is almost a feeling like a letdown as far as our society is concerned in protecting our women and girls in this country. And we feel very strongly about it as an organization, and we are not ashamed to say we stand in solidarity with all women formations in the country that really foster the voices of women and are keen to ensure that women have the rightful place in this country. And not only just ensuring that they are safe and protected, but they're also given opportunity to express their giftings, their talents, their possibilities, and the joy of being happy. Yeah? And sometimes it feels like what this democracy of ours promised, it's like it's been very exclusive and it left women behind. And we as an organization, we're very committed to this process to ensure that we not just meet in spaces like this ones to gather and talk and things that we do lovely in this kind of place, but also to take the message that we take from here to the various communities so we can interact with other women who may not have an opportunity to be in a space like this one. And so if you've been following our work, we've been intentional in terms of taking our work into communities in Durban Metro and outside through this province and even lately to other parts of our country, working with formations of women and others just like yourselves, and political parties, and media, and academic institutions, provoking these kinds of conversation, because a solution has to be found, and the solution is there, isn't it? Or you don't believe it? We believe there is a solution, and the solution lies with us in this room, and those who are watching via our social media platforms. By the way, we have our sites from Zuma and I think Mulazi that are also connecting with us this morning. And so we believe in this collective advocacy effort in joining our voices together to push the boundaries of oppression and every form of aggression that seeks to make women feel unwanted, unsafe, and not worthy for this democracy. We believe they are, and that's why we are courageous to set resources annually to bring women together from all backgrounds in this kind of a setting. Firstly, to inspire one another with the various work that you guys are doing in the places where you inhabit, but at the same time also find new ways of advocacy that can push the boundaries of oppression far and away from our society. It is not right that women do not feel safe. It's not right that women get, like what we saw a few weeks ago, very tragic incident that happened in Gauteng. My mouth can't even say it properly. It's so painful to see that, and it should not be happening in a society like ours, isn't it? And so we believe that we have the collective responsibility to keep on pushing the boundaries of our advocacy efforts and ensure that we engage not only amongst ourselves, but with our political leaders, with our lawmakers, and ensure that what we come up with in a space like this one finds expression in different spaces of leadership in our society. And so we are honored to have this annual conference again this year with a different theme, talking about promoting women as agents of change and sustainable development in post-COVID era. There is a lot to unpack that, but I will leave the speakers to do their best in that aspect. Only for us from DDPs to say that we are fully behind the efforts that women are putting out across our society, and we are very committed to ensure that whatever resources we can set aside to advance the cause that creates opportunities for women to emancipate themselves, their voices to be heard, their voices to be respected, and an environment where it allows women's potential to be expressed. That is a cause we are committed to do as an organization. And so you can take from me that we are very, very much in line and in sync with the efforts that you all are putting together. And as I've been informed this morning in this room, we have women from all walks of backgrounds, from government, from political parties, from the media, from academia, from community-based organizations. That is rarely to find in a room like this one, where we are the royal guests, yeah? And we believe that as we engage this morning, in the course of the day, that you will find an opportunity to express the very interest of what you are doing in your organization in different spaces where you're located, but at the same time also have an opportunity to network with other women in the room, where we can be able to create the wave of advocacy in the various areas that we feel very strongly about from this room today. It's my expectation that you'll find it worthy, and I want to thank you all for making time to be here with us. It's an expression already of your interest in advancing that cause. And therefore, on behalf of our able DDP team that has worked very, very hard in the last couple of months to put this together, on behalf of our DDP board and our founder, Conrad and Stifton, and the partners that have helped us to work this together, including the NYDA, I want to welcome you. Please enjoy our hospitality and engage with each other, network, and most importantly, learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. I don't know if you've ever come to a conference before and you never knew who was standing in front of you. My name is Bushla. I will be your program director for today. I assure you we're going to have an incredible day. We have such amazing speakers today. And I hope that we're going to take home great knowledge, and we're going to go back home and we are going to give these men a run for their money. It's time. It is time. It is time they hear our voices. It is time they hear our cries. And I was hoping to say, this woman's, or next year, let's hope, but this Women's Day, stop being models. You know, enjoy the soft life. They must pamper you. They must take you to spas. Yes. Don't be strong on the 9th of August, ladies. We don't want strength. We show your strength all year round. I want you next year, the mandate next year, the assignment is to be soft, to live the softest life on that day. All right? Moving forward, we're going to ask Ms. Tobeka Kubisa to give us the purpose of this conference. Can we welcome Ms. Tobeka Kubisa?
Good morning. As already been stated, welcome to the 3rd annual DDP conference, titled the theme, Women in Leadership and Development, Promoting Women as Change Agents for Sustainable Development in the Post-COVID Era. So today, as we are gathered here, is to continue the deliberations about the position of women within the different sectors, the different fields, because it's not only, as much as the discussion is largely around democracy and the political space, but we as women continue to face struggles, inequality, structural injustices in the various spaces that we occupy, particularly even when it comes to salary rates. Even as women who are qualified within their different professions, there's still a struggle for equal pay between them and their male counterparts. So today, amongst our deliberations and the objectives of today's conference is largely to explore the ways in which women empowerment in leadership can be cultivated, nurtured and promoted sustainably in South Africa. It's also to identify the challenges that the present laws and regulations of the country contribute towards women disempowerment as political and societal leaders in South Africa. And it's also to explore the mitigation strategies for tackling socio-cultural drivers of gender inequality in South Africa. I'd also like to thank DDP today that as an associate facilitator, with their permission, we are also able to allow the high school girls to start and be able to expose to such spaces. As you've noticed, there's 2 high school learners who are part of some of the programs that we do in the communities. And this is a way for us to be able to enable them to see that there are bigger spaces outside of just them being in high school. And so it's also a way to create that early entry into the kind of spaces that as today's dialogue, for them to also know that their voices are important and that they also have something to contribute into society. And so as we continue today with our various speakers, and we look forward to all the discussions that we're going to have, and we also hope that from what we discussed today, we can also take it out there to our communities and be able to implement the strategies and the conversations, the dialogues that emerge from today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Victoria and Lisa. I don't know about you, but I always feel empowered when I'm around a group of powerful women. I see I see a group of students over there. I hope we also get to speak to them. When we're networking, let's forget the young minds that we still need to nurture so that they can also come up maybe on the 14th Annual Women's Conference, DDP's 14th Annual Conference, we'll have them speaking. Would like to ask Haushin Magoi and Nondoweko Mkize to come up for the message of support. I'll just ask them to come up individually. I'll first like to call the beautiful Ms. Haushin. Thank you.
Program director, I think it would not have been out of vanity if I complained, oh, Ashaboti the beautiful. Every woman in here is beautiful. Amen. In fact, every woman that is not in here as well is beautiful. Guys, to reiterate what the president had said on Women's Day, when he said that women now have freedom of choice, freedom of movement, we are able to opt for certain fields that we can study in. We are able to go into the spaces of our careers, and more especially, we are able, or we have the freedom to be in here in this room today. Having said that, good morning to everybody in here. Dr. Nameli, Gabela. I'm not sure why we have male photographers. I'm a bit challenged. We are talking about empowering. The 4th conference, there will not be a single male in this one. We are only Dr. Paul, you included. Acknowledging you, Dr. Paul. Program director, of course, as beautiful as you are with it, thank you. Every colleague here from EDDP and every lady present. I know we have Mrs. Mhlomo as well from the Standard Bank. My responsibility is quite short, but somehow leaders it and I think today is one of those days where we are here to take a bit from each other. We are here to impart knowledge. Whenever I work with DDP, I always appreciate the fact that there's always a generational mix in their programs. The unfortunate part is that I come from the National Youth Development Agency. My unit is the National Youth Service, addressing the social ills and everything else you can think of in the province. But when I attend these dialogues and you have the generational mix and you listen to everything that has been discussed, you realize, you know what? Some of us may be older, some of us may be younger, and then there's Hoshin who is holding on to being young. And then there are those who are just young at heart, but anything that is being discussed, somehow everybody has something to learn. Everybody has something to share. And that is just always a joyous and beautiful moment. Dialogues like these always say, you know what, walk in there and do everything and become who you are when you walk out that door, so that that when you are in here, you are a sponge for positivity and for positive energy. Because these sessions are basically to revitalize. They are here to re-energize. They are here to pick us up. Some of us walk in here feeling like we are carrying the world because we've been told and when you are a black woman, it's even more so when you are getting married, you are told, you know what, sit on your problems. Do not tell the next person. That is why we have so many women running around, beaten up black and blue. Because you cannot talk about what you are going through. It is okay to cry and cleanse the soul. It's okay. It's okay to give another woman a hug. Yesterday, I had a very interesting conversation with somebody, and we were talking around the adaptability of women in this now 21st century. Because we are literally moving into a space where, yes, it is a hostile takeover, might I add, because we are gearing into taking those leadership positions. But the one problem that we face is that we have been suffering so much as women. We have been marginalized so much as women that we are at a point that the minute I, as a woman, get an opportunity to show my head out of that hole, I refuse to pick up another woman behind me. We women are our own worst enemies to the others. It is not the men.
Yes.
It is not the men. It is us women. But if it was not even the men will be able to, you know what, we can sit here and have a discussion. Dr. Paul will go out of here and not know what we were actually saying. That's the power we possess as women. If we were to unite as women, regardless of the race, regardless of the age, but the fact that the gender unites us, we share the same problems.
Amen.
We have that problem solved at the end of the month. We all are piling up So now can you imagine going to work, who gets on a period pains, and then you got another woman adding to your problems. And then it's like, it's hormones, and you're thinking, Doc, do I not have you met me? So, you know what? Today needs to be a day where by the time we are done, I must know you better. I must know you better. I must not just say Dr. Lamine, Dr. Lamine, oh, you share the surname with my mother. No. I must know you. I must be able to say, Uguti, you know what? There are people in there who actually know me. So that tomorrow, if you bump into me, you are able to say, Uguti, something is not right with the ocean. She is not her bubbly self. Let me just check. Ladies, we need to familiarize the concept of saying, how are you? Not because we are saying it out of duty. If it's out of duty, it's but say it because you mean it. Say it because if I am with you and I feel like you really want to know Uguti, how am I can actually share Uguti, you know what? I do not even have bread in the house. And you are able to say Uguti, you know what? Very, I'm going to do groceries. Let me just pick up 2 loaves for you and milk. That is what we need to do. But we have lost Ubuntu. We have, I'm not going to speak about as a nation. I'm going to speak about as women, because as women, it's in come on. Men will forever be babies. They will forever be. They can walk in and claim to be a CEO. They can walk in and claim to be in the most highest seat when it comes to the position. But myself figuring, you said, imagine Mama and class on this side. Let us claim that space. Ubuhle uthe, you know what? Let's get to a point where on the 9th, sikhohlwe ukuba imbokodo when we say we are wrong. Not just on the 9th. There is nothing as beautiful as infusing a rock and a bit of tenderness. You cannot be a rock 364 days and only on that one day you choose to be a marshmallow. It's not going to happen. Even when they want to bring you breakfast in bed, you are running, I know how your eggs are done, I'm so friends and you start aside aqua. No. Let it be every day. Let us acknowledge that we have both sides to us. And it is okay to be as gentle as we want to be. The theme for today is women as change agents in leadership. All I can say and remind each and every person in here is claim the space that you are in. And claim the space that you want to be in. The law of attraction says, call it to you and it shall come. Oh, you might not get it exactly the way it is, but it will be shaped and redefined to suit you. And it will be yours. So when it comes, you will claim it. And you will say, I am proudly woman. Despite the race that we are in here, we are all Africans. And we will say, I am proudly South African, I am proudly African. But more especially, I am a woman. Let us claim that space. Let us know who we are. Let us not dim our light. Do not dim your light for anybody, not even for that camera. He will have to adjust his lens for me, not the other way around. So having said that, ladies, thank you so much for today. And we fully support the program and we are looking forward to next year's one. And our young ladies out there, I think tomorrow you are being the future leaders. You are going to be learning a lot from everybody in here because there's a lot that we want to share. Let us have fun, let us take back seats, and let us just embrace each other as women. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that beautiful message. Live the soft life. I think we're adding a new theme to this year, that you must allow yourself to be soft. I'm going to ask the formidable Nontorero to come and also give us a message of support. Thank you.
DA Executive Sisi, thank you so much for your powerful speech. Ms. Nosi Kumanzini, our youth leader, from our universities and education institutions, and all other leaders, from all different sectors. And our lovely youth, I saw some beautiful young girls with Hadama uniform, and allow me to say also I would like to welcome Dr. Paul from DDP and all protocol observed. Ophambo wenu Ms. Notobelo Mkhize, in brief, the executive National African Business Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a district stakeholder, so I do a lot of work in Omaspala, also into AMA events and a lot of training and development. And I must be home the opportunity to give him a message of support. For me today, ngibe nomsebenzi omncanyana. Thank you, Khabazela. Simbali, namhlanje ngizothi uSisimbali uKhabazela because we always call each other Khabazela. What a vibrant woman. And I will also add nje kancane uSisi emention I think it was 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I was one of the invitees. I'm in one of the tables. I listened, and you know, I cannot start to explain how I am so moved by DDP. Minage, Kosami, you will get to know me. I am a very proactive person, and I love Ngobegela Pambi. I am hands-on. I ask. Any program will come guy, send your phone. I need to know what is happening there. And DDP is doing an amazing work. DDP, we are crisscrosser all over KZN, and I should think other provinces as well. I do make sure that I am part of most of my programs. So I hope there are a young group of beautiful women who are making a difference into people's lives. Today we are here because of women in leadership. There's also other programs as well. I'm so proud. Yes, up and down, to be associated with DDP. Wherever I go, I don't close my mouth. If God I like to get my hands dirty. Nikube Khabazela in your team. We love your work. Very soon. Thank you so much again. Then I just have a message, a manager for women.
Just here.
Namhlanje, I would like to tell you, Uguti, we are the creations, the image yaKuNkulunkulu. We are powerful. I can expand and get into that. Usisi had already expanded kakhulu how powerful we are. Si powerful ngalendlela yokuthi ngikhuluma ngento experience and that I experience when I work in business nakwamanye ama platforms. Once there's a woman involved, I don't care who says what. Leyo nto will end up isigcine isiphumelela. Yes, it's true. If unonto comes in, then we can undermine it. I experience it every single day. I experience it every single month, whereby upumuye koneni and you cry. But in will that I have and in will that I pray, let's be resilient. Asibe the perseverance. Know that no man. I am worthy, I am capable, I am powerful. That's what I'm saying. Let us shine his eyes. Let us drive. Because I can tell you what, youth aglula in business, aglula kuma government sectors, kuma government departments, and a lot of organizations as well. I think Gabela Ukona will expand a bit on that. She's very powerful. Thank you so much, Mam Gabela, for coming through. I know you have got so much on your hands. Sense of pride and depending into the world is your oyster. I always believe sinale mentality yokuthi sikholelwa ekutheni uma sekubizwe a speaker from another province, from another country or whatever it is. But that's not true. We have leaders from within a province. I'll speak for myself, whereby we get women who are powerful, women abazosiza in whatever journey, in whatever sector you want to excel in, or whatever it is. We've got a lovely lady who comes. This is okay. Yes, Ma'am Kamela, Dorotela, a lot of people. So. I think of Leligama Elite collaboration. Collaboration, I can go on and on. Let's learn. It's also interact with a whole lot of other women who are in the house as well. We share which organization do you come from, and so what do you do? Next year we'll be talking a different story. So it's important to as seasons to be available. Lastly, kukhona lento ekuthiwa i-pull down syndrome as women. Well, I actually don't like that word, pull down syndrome. Unondo is standing in front of you, ufake ibuko ezi-orange. Other people are saying, kodwa ubefayela lezibuko zakhe orange. Well, how about Nondo loves our glasses are orange? Let us learn to embrace each other as we are all women, and his speaker, I think it was on Saturday, I said, let us learn to be kind to one another, because you may never know what the second person sitting next to you is going through. Again, has elaborated, we go through so much as women, from families, society, in the business world, wherever it is, in whatever sector or excelagio, let us learn to be extra kind to the next person. Send your program director. Lastly, Lizotte, thank you so much to DDP. I'm so happy I'm going to meet our executives Akona and lots of other guys are within DDP and everyone else. I will take my time and interact with every single one of you. Bless you.
Now, I did say formidable. I'd just like to acknowledge the guests that we have here today. It's just powerhouse upon powerhouse upon powerhouse upon powerhouse. It's like a bomb. We're going to explode with so much power, so much knowledge. There's so much we'll be feeding each other today with. And I hope that you take it home with you and you take it seriously. And that when we get out there in the world, we don't forget the knowledge that we got here. And we use it to empower each other, to empower ourselves, and to empower all the women in our community. So having said that, I also want to say hello to Abantu baseTuzuma, Elindelani, led by Wise Men Nomelusi. City hello, hi to Abantu baseMlazi A-Section, led by Usizi Kumalo. We also have Honorable Councillor Kabela, we have Dr. Zama Jamini from UKZN, Jama Center. We have Unosipo Manzini, a student leader at UKZN. We have Ma'am Charity Mhlongo from Standard Bank. We've heard from Shini from the NYDA, NYS. We've also just heard from Ma'am Kize from NAFCOP. We also acknowledge all the political parties that are here with us. The South African Youth Council, REC Asetekwini, Zebdoma High School, Zebdoma High School, our beautiful learners from there. We've got civil society, different civil society organizations. We've got Jenny Boyce from MCC. There's just, like I said, there's a lot of power in this room. And I hope that we use it. I believe in the power of manifestation and the power of words. We just heard three very important things, and I'll ask for the room to repeat them to themselves. I am worthy.
I am worthy.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I matter.
I matter.
With the theme today, I think those are three very important things that we can also take away. We are worthy. We are powerful to God, and we all matter. All right? So moving on with the program, I have a funny story with Dr. Zama Jamin. I don't know if she'll remember me. Last year, I was at the Women's Conference. We were both guests. We were both guests last year at the Women's Conference. Look at us now. And after we attended, we usually go upstairs, we go to lunch, and God works in mysterious ways. We ended up sitting together. She was sitting there alone, and I was like, oh, she was very interesting. And so I sat next to her, and she told me all about her journey with her PhD and her journey in faith, and I was just so inspired by her. I'm one of those people like who go back home when you meet someone or you watch a movie, I Google. So I was like, hey, she's so amazing. And today I have the honor of introducing her. So I think, especially for the youth that are here today, to take that away with you, that these places are not for us to just meet in passing. God has a way of putting us in spaces where we can be empowered at a time that is either now or later, because here I am. I was this young girl, still am young, who was empowered and who was inspired by Dr. Dlamini, and today I'm getting to introduce her. So Dr. Dlamini is a gender and transformation practitioner, and a strategist with a commitment to advancing social change and gender justice. She is currently employed as an academic researcher and a public theology program coordinator at the Ujama Center in UKZN. She is a former high school educator, a school counselor, and an education specialist. Having worked for the UKZN Department of Education, she has also worked as a lecturer in public and private institutions of higher learning. She is the co-director of Zato Consulting, a company that works with the schools, organizations, and corporate companies in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. Dr. Dlamini is extensively involved in the capacity building of faith leaders in the prevention of gender-based violence by transforming masculinities and promoting gender equality. She is a public speaker and speaks on matters related to education, religion, sexual reproductive health rights, and gender justice. She holds an MA degree in Media and Cultural Studies from UKZN. She recently completed her PhD degree. Congratulations, last year she recently completed her PhD degree on gender and religion from the University of KZN. She's married and blessed with 4 beautiful children, Ulwanele, Ukwezi, and twins, Taba and Tabisa. She is worthy, she is powerful, and she matters.
To greet everyone in the house. Abaphathi be DDP, I greet all women leaders in this convention, and I would like to greet abantwana besikole. It is quite inspiring. These are the opportunities we never got when we were young. And I'm always jealous. If I really had these opportunities, I think I would have been very, very far in life. However, God has a way of healing these wounds and us to reconfigure our journeys in life. A lot has been said. But I'm really humbled and delighted to be in this space. I'm so passionate about intergenerational links and relations. I mean, I've got a younger friend who's, I think, almost maybe 15 years younger than me. We almost chat every single day. But how she empowers me. And every time I switch off the phone, I always realize and learn something. There's a lot we need to learn, and there's also a gift we need to have as we allow ourselves to be teachable. But there's such power and grace. You can just pause and reflect and consume and learn from the upcoming sisters who are bright, shining, sparkling, shining stars. And with those words, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. For me, I've been asked to somehow set the scene for this conversation. And DDP made this task so easy for me because the presentation that I will present namhlanje is simply based on the chapter. I was invited to actually make a contribution in a book project to DDP that they've been involved with. And so my contribution in this book chapter was to simply map the gender inequality during the period of 1994 or to 2021 in our South African context. And as I was engaging with this project, it was interesting to be able to pause and check, where have we come from, South Africa? Where have we really come, where are we coming from with our backlog, our challenges, but also to mark the wins, what our government has been able to achieve in the women's agenda. And the big question we need to ask ourselves, why is it so critical that we are able to stop and map this history? Some of my sisters here may have been young in 1994. I wouldn't want to really disclose my age, who's born 1994. Where was I? But I think I was very, very matured. I think I must have been in my very early 20s at the time. We were quite young. Some of us were not even politically trained, and we didn't understand the shifts that were taking place in South Africa. So it becomes critical for us to map this history because it helps us to reposition ourselves and understand our role. How can we tap into spaces where other women have not tapped into? How can we reinforce those spaces so that we are advancing ourselves economically, politically, and be able to occupy those spaces out there? And secondly, I believe it's critical for us to sit and have this conversation because it is about creating an intergenerational space for dialogue and also creating those reflections and engagement as a collective. It is also important for us to redefine strategically how Sitting must be able to enable us to advance in all spheres. There's always a tendency, particularly for me having worked in government spaces, you find that the left doesn't know what the right is doing. For such spaces are so critical for us to be able to meet at a very kind climate over a cup of tea to say, what are you doing? And be able to synchronize those programs for the benefit of how we make progress in our communities. And also it is about normalizing equality. I think this is, a lot has been said. I've loved the catchphrase that has emerged in this space. But I also feel it is our right to normalize equality. We have to normalize equality as a caption we have to normalize wellness and our well-being because we have been told otherwise. So such spaces are so critical in the sense that if we are saying we want to create the new dynamics that would impact the envisioned South Africa, you know, for our daughters, for our nieces, we need to shape that South Africa for those who are coming in our footsteps. I switched off. Okay. As I begin my presentation, it was so appropriate for me to begin by reflecting on this slogan. We probably may have read about these feminists who always said political is personal, and they always say also personal is political. So this dates back from many, many centuries where women, not just black women, not just African women, but women in Europe as well, who've always been feeling this thorn in their flesh. We are unrecognized and there's no space for us. We can't vote and there are no equal rights that we are enjoying. And these movements have therefore given birth to how we are maneuvering in all these spaces to see how women can be radical and take over different positions. But what you find as you tap back into the history of feminism, you begin to realize that it's been layers and layers and different directions of change. And what has happened is that the conversation around the women's education, it has evolved from the public terrain to the private space. And I'm sure we could all relate to the realities around gender-based violence, particularly when it's intimate partner violence. And in that case, the same slogan still holds water. It's still relevant because, I mean, if you look at Tinder, it becomes personal and it becomes political. For me to really land in this space, it is because of the discomfort as a woman. I think to do some progress in the academic fraternity, I wanted to do something that fits me. And this space, it gave me vocabulary. It was able to name the pain. It was able to heal the pain as I was able to have vocabulary. We all know the struggles around, when you are married, the dynamics that you have to navigate. So that's how I landed myself in this space. So as we pursued clarity around how we can become change agents, it is therefore important that we go back to this history. Once we are in 2022, but we can't go. We have to go back to 1956. These are the same women who were able to take the matter into their own hands and say, enough. This is political. We cannot be able to survive with these impediments that are laid in our movements. And these are our experiences, not because of race, not because of color, not because we're coming from the rural area, but all of us are convening for the one cause, which I believe is a conversation that also has emerged from the previous speakers. Uguti, if we are still pulling ourselves down, we're not maybe going to achieve. We will keep on coming and convene every 9th of August and we say, see Mbogodo, and that's Watinda Bafaz, Watinki Mbogodo. But we won't be able to achieve what these women achieved because what they were able to say, we are locating our experiences and the systems and the structures continue to legitimize oppression, and we deserve better. Perhaps our voices need to be clear to say we deserve better. And this is an individual stance which all of us need to take in life, where you begin to have that honest conversation with yourself. No, this is not it. This is not enough for me, not because you're power hungry, not because but you just want to advance. And advancing for you is food, it feeds you, it keeps you sane, it helps you. And if for those who subscribe to some kind of faith, and I believe every faith would have these endorsements, Zoguti, you were born for a purpose. And for you to live to that purpose, it is then to say, Lord, show me which direction should I go. This ground, this terrain is not enough. Expand it and enlarge it for me so that I can, when I say bye and close my eyes on earth, I've done good service. I've not wasted. I always love the book by Miles Monroe who says, self-empty yourselves. And for us as women, our constant conversation, it should be to say, how are we self-emptying ourselves? Not emptying your energy. Don't empty your energy, but how do you self-empty those gifts and those talents for the benefit of those who follow you? So when we fast forward to 1994, I deliberately decided to say her story, because we've always been told it's his story, history. So her story, what is her story in post-1994? Post-1994, obviously a lot changes. The dynamics changes. You know, the language, they would say, because now the systems that have been previously subjugating us as women, there were some changes that were applied. And hence we are here in, as we observe the activities around August, in 2022. And therefore it calls for us to pause and reflect and also ask ourselves, how do we talk about ourselves? I mean, also Spam who were here, I think they've done a great job about how we speak about ourselves, how we speak about each other. And those are the small conversations, those are the seeds when applied and cultivated better. To groom and shape and nurture to become a better person. It is a time for us also to celebrate, the mbogodoness that we enjoy, raising families, being daughters, being sisters, being this and that to many other people. But it is also good to stop and say, who am I to myself? Not to others.
Oh, yes.
Who am I to myself? Who do I want to be for myself? Who do I want to become for myself? How do I want the younger generation to remember me? When we have brought children into the space, you begin to say, how do I inspire my daughters? How do I inspire my nieces? My nieces always think, hey, Auntie is so great, sharing back again. But also, I love it because it's I'm such a tiny, practically a role model. They could see and observe and emulate. And I observe them in their spaces. There's Amazon, one say Howard College, is in Peter Maritzburg. But I see how it helps to have someone, I'm marking her. I'm marking her because, not because we compete her, but I'm inspired by her journey.
Yes.
So it is also important to have this man because we need to be aware of our agency. We need to be aware of our agency. And also this taps back on the healing that we still need. I think there's a conversation that emerged here earlier on because we carry the heavy wounds in our lineage. That's another topic for another day that I'm so passionate about. What is your bloodline like? Going back, because we need to be intentional about these conversations. What is really residing in my bones, in my blood? Because if it's negative, I have to cut it off. But if it's positive, I have to reinforce it. And so also this brings us to also being aware of our own power and our contribution in society. Who is being left behind? Who is also part of this conversation? I mean, for those who have grown up during Anami in the 90s, the conversations that we have are a bit, they create some discomfort. The conversation around LGBTI persons, those conversations were not really on the, a flame. So now we also need to expand the definition of who is missing like a flame. Maybe there are people that are missing And we have to be intentional as we invite them on board, as we observe now they are talented and they can make a contribution. So as we are taking back into the history of South Africa, we see that there have been, liberation government was able to recognize the injustices, and instead it opted to revise and re-augment the position of Ms. Fazal. And this was done through legislation and policies to sort of make this change happen. And that is why we would say there has been access for us as women. And also, it has promulgated for social change and gender justice. To tell you the truth, this conversation, when I was at the university towards the latter part of the 90s, these conversations about gender justice were not a conversation. But abantwana abakhula namhlanje, they're lucky to tap into this conversation because they need to also change. And this is how our government has made this input. I mean, we are having this right to vote. We have opportunities of employment. We are able to apply for those promotions. Maybe the question we should be talking about when they put us in those positions, is it tokenism? Do they want us to be just flower petals and boards? Do we really have those voices where we could say, you see now, by Tata see, it's making a difference in our organization. But we have been able to enjoy equal rights within marriage in terms of having our property. You know, I don't have to have my husband signing anything because I'm independent and self-sufficient on my own. And all these things have really been bad because of our government. But now, 2020, boom, COVID became a setback. COVID became a setback because it really started revealing the inequalities in our community. It revealed that our issues of mental health risk because we're stuck and we couldn't move around. And it revealed, I'm sure you may have all heard about the statistics of GBV, of pregnancy, which compromises our sexual and reproductive health rights. Obviously there's been a lot that was also revealed. The reality are obviously around the backdrop of patriarchy, the shame, the secrecy. We've spoken about that. But also what I want to indicate is the reality of how poverty seems to be central around our livelihood. Yeah. Sometimes it's easy for us, as we somehow refer to ourselves as middle class, but then we have the realities of our sisters who are surviving on helping us to keep our homes clean. But the question is, what happened during COVID? So those are the realities that are still around the informal economies that still require a lens for as we deliberate for some change in society. What also we have seen is that I've indicated that who gets left out, who's been left out even during COVID, people with disability, people who are struggling economically, and all of those, and all these everyday activities, they've somehow become a setback in how we do life and how they prevent women from being agents of change in their different socio-political spaces. When we look at this point in time, what do we see? It was interesting to read another, to get this citation that there's always a tendency to see us as willing prisoners. We still have a mindset, we must be naturals and we need to be, homekeepers. And hence we're not taking these positions, or we're not allowing ourselves to advance and take these opportunities. And what you find in most different sectors is the underrepresentation of women in different spheres. And within the business,
once we can celebrate how women have come up and starting their business opportunities and taking those into cognizance, but there's still a shortage. I'm sure there's so much around finance which still prevents women from getting those opportunities, because we register these companies, but we need to do good act, you know, and then you stop. Right. And then we have the reality of women in sports. This also comes back from how we've been socialized, and hence we have seen fewer women in the sports terrain. Although things have really evolved over time, if you can from 1994 to now, what is really happening also has been to see the imbalances that are emerging. But also, I'm sure recently we get to celebrate the wins, the Banyana. But I thought I should also bring the Rina Ledwaba case, which was a controversial issue around women, the voting and whatnot, and she was not included. But also, this tells you, not just those who are in rural areas, even the powerful women are still marginalized in different spaces. So those are the realities that we keep navigating as women. Also within the agricultural spaces, it's still a male-dominated space. Yes, we do have, the drizzles of women taking the center stage, but we still have an underrepresentation in the sector. One of the things the government has was to ensure, if we want to improve the economy of the country, let every girl child, if we at least go grade 9. And this is considered as an achievement for the democratic government to observe that, because siyakhumula, the whole history, the cultural history of Utwalo, I mean, you hear stories of other women. I did not go to school because Baba would always say, no, so at least this being enforced by law, it has somehow prevented alien marriages. But also, we still have a reality of the fact that positions, I'm sure all men would attest, we still have fewer female principals in the schools. I was just recording as I was doing this presentation because I worked for the government, and there was a time, Minister and he would say the organogram, it's like a boys' choir. And I'm sure for those who obviously, because we're privileged to this information, because it's our poster, then you look at these men, with their suits, and you're like, where are women here? Those are the realities that are still around that, which becomes critical to have these conversations on gender consciousness. Nasa's Gole, how the teachers would somehow create a platform for these engagements as we change mindset as a way of equipping women. And this is because of my specialization, this is my lovely space within the faith spaces. Because there's a lot of gender inequality, because it is even justified by the Bible. How we need to submit, how we were taken from the rib of Adam for us to come to being. But that's the conversations for the theologians who would dispute that, who would know we were born to be equal and we were born from equality. So those are the conversations that other faith spaces, because they also have the influence in Mabandeni, they need to create this conversation of saying, how do we advance in mindset, equality from a biblical perspective? How do you shape younger women, influence from the seeds of faith, so that they know, whilst their Bible is the springboard, but let that springboard enable them and empower them to flourish, fly. Also, the history within the parliament, we've always seen how the parliament has been, and it continues to be, a site of, or a terrain of struggle, we've got women, Siyababona, MPs, the ministers, and I'm sure I wouldn't really talk for them, but I would like to believe in those spaces they are still navigating our challenges of whether also are they invited in these tables, do they really have a voice? But that is a conversation for someone who is specifically handling the type of work into the women representation and participation into those spaces. And the questions that we need to, I think there are questions I had, as she gave me the concept notes. The questions we need to be asking ourselves, because this is an ongoing process. What are the strategies of changing the status quo? How do we reorder the history to take another route? How do we sort of encourage participation so that we can preserve the development to a point that it is sustainable? And as a way forward, it is critical that we invest in the programs and the systems that will be of service to what we do. But also, it is appreciated to see the work that DDP is doing around civil society organizations and citizenship education. Because, as I follow them, I see their work is not only central to the work they are doing at Dolobeni. I've seen them recently, I think, and that is really commendable, because my cry, when I see AMA women's events, I always see glitz and glamour. And I ask myself, how are they really going to get this information? But also, this is also a multi-sectoral conversation where we begin to realize that one woman must be part of this equation. Who's involved in this place? What is the role that media can play to reinforce using agenda journalism to sort of equip and create advocacy around gender equality, around the advancement of women, where women can be confident to be able to take this conversation. But also it's about creating educational programs which must be prioritized on gender mainstreaming, and obviously the policy which should not only include women but also men. Whilst it is a Women's Day, but for us who work in communities, the work that we need to do, I always say the work we do is focused on us as women, and the question is, and then how are these strong, vibrant, young Mbogotos that we are grooming, how are they going to connect with the future boys who've not been really developed and empowered to sort of engage with them and constructive. And therefore, lastly, we need to have programs that speak positively to, I've spoken now. So, yeah, I've spoken about this. And as I conclude, it is also critical for us to always recognize that you've had conversations about that, feminism, there's also gender equality. They're not just only good for us as women. Can you imagine a Ikaya with an empowered woman? How does it make a difference to Ikaya Longe? Your voice in spaces where you are on the zone, it's because it is able to mobilize for a change. It is about also building the capacity of women in local government, but also enabling everyone to wellness and well-being, as we are able to have access to education, access to health facilities, land distribution, but also access to sexual health rights. This is another conversation I think that is critical for the schools. This is a critical conversation for our partners who are here, who are working in schools, because we are doing these programs with faith leaders. And let me tell you, Asakosa is discomfort, because what we know about sex and sexuality, because of what we have received, there's biblical knowledge, but we need to be able to hold these courageous conversations around that. But also I laugh, once we may take ourselves as feminists, but being a mother of boys, how they would challenge you. Ukuthi ready now ukhuluma about sex, are you ready now to talk about menstruation, but if growth, I want to reiterate in this platform, our growth will come from a discomfort. And if we don't allow ourselves to be uncomfortable, whether with portfolio yako or whether in your personal life, you will never grow. And I love these last two quotations that ends of Nangao. Inspired by the words of Chimamanda Ngozi, we should all be feminists. Amen. We should all be feminists, and let us enjoy, and let us not direct, let us reroute. The other day my boy was cutting my nails, and the old template was saying, "Hi, but this is too girlish." But then the other part was like, "Oh, shame, the future wife is going to be so proud and so happy to have this kind of a man." So we need to be intentional, not just in the workplace, in our homes as well, to say, be inspired by that energy, because we have to redeem the masculinity for all these years. And I think the last one, for those who may have seen the advert here at DDP, I love this quotation by Maya Angelou about belonging. Where do you belong? Sometimes we think belonging, when we're young, we're thirsty for connection. Yes, there's a space for connection. We want to be friends. I asked my 10-year-old, I told me I've got so many friends. But I realized it's a mind of a 10-year-old. But as you advance in life, we need to understand that you belong to yourself. You belong to yourself, and no one must rob you of your belonging. You shouldn't rob yourself of where you belong. And always believe you belong in all spaces. All spaces, if God has designed Lama spaces, they are yours. They are yours, they've got a name, they've got an envelope, so take those spaces and enjoy the rest of the morning. Thank you.
In your place. That is powerful. Dr. Dlamini, thank you so much. I'm sure there's a lot that we've gathered in those few minutes that was packed. Now we're going to unpack. What's going to happen now is I'm going to ask, as you're sitting in your groups, for us to address and have a group discussion on Dr. Dlamini's paper presentation. Remember, the theme is Women in Leadership and Development, Promoting Women as Change Agents for Sustainable Development in the Post-COVID Era. Now, she covered all the eras, so just also remember that. While we do this, while we have this group discussion, we're going to limit it to 10 minutes, and we're going to limit the presentations to 10 minutes. Before we do that, I'd like to acknowledge Mrs. P.N. Mapanga, who is the Deputy Mayor of Kabatini Municipality. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So, ladies, so nice to not and gentlemen. Ladies, we discuss now 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we will each come up, well, I guess you're going to choose someone from the group to come and present. Enjoy yourselves. Remember that what we're speaking, what we're sharing with each other, don't forget, it's captain same. So engage, listen to each other, and share with each other. Thank you. 10 minutes, ladies. 10 minutes. Can I just put an emphasis that it's not a presentation of your thoughts, it's a questions and answer session, all right? So it's questions that you might have for the people. Okay. And what's in the forward? Okay, so now three tables to just come and speak out. 2 minutes and then 3 tables, please. What's in the bafazi?
What's in the board?
What's in the bafazi?
What's in the board?
Igama lamakhosikazi.
Malibongwe.
Malibongwe.
Lamakhosikazi.
Asizwe igama lamakhosikazi.
Malibongwe.
Malibongwe.
Igama lamakhosikazi.
That's the energy we're looking for. Thank you so much for engaging, ladies. I'm just going to ask 3 people to come up from 3 tables. If they are volunteers, it would be great. Then we'll move along faster. Maybe 1. We've got 1, 2 more, please. 2, 3. Perfect. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, the 3 ladies that have put up their hands, Puti, to come forward. This mic over here. And deliver your questions to Dr. Lamini. Then Dr. Lamini will answer us after speaker, after honorable speaker, councillor Azo Makabel, as address because she needs to go somewhere quickly. So we'll just do questions. Let me just go over it. Questions. Then we'll have Makabel address us, and then after tea, we'll ask Dr. Lamini to come back and reply to the question. Thank you so much for engaging. Thank you so much for participating. I hope it was wonderful. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And I hope it was meaty enough to take hold. All right, can we start with this table here first? Thank you. Can you just say your name, organization that you come from, and then you can leave. Good morning, everybody. Yes, sir? Maybe this one? Just.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sinete Makawula. I am here with Paramilio from Mazibugo Foundation. So I am a postgrad student at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in the campus doing my honors in gender education. So Ivo, Josam, and myself here have got together a question for Dr. Damini. So the first question was, how better can women, both young and old adults, get assistance in getting resources to better themselves in an area for agriculture and sports, as Dr. Damini had mentioned, that how can we get resources, how can we get funding and motivation for women in that area of agriculture and sports? And the second question was, how can we change our attitude as women? How can we change our attitude as women to each other? Because Dr. Damini did mention that in 1956, the women at that time all spoke in one voice. Yet in nowadays, we are all speaking in different voices. So now how can we change that attitude and be in one voice as women nowadays? So that was the second question. And the third question was, how can we best address feminism and also in a way that will not scare men away, but also invite them in that engagement? Because nowadays we just get the top of the cream of the definition of feminism and not actually understanding what feminism is. Because now feminism is men are trash. So now you're saying that my brother, my father, and my nephew is trash. And my son is trash. So now how can we get a clear understanding and a clear definition of what exactly is feminism? So that when I talk of feminism, I understand of it. Because Dr. Tamim just said that we have to be, everybody is a feminism. But now if you're going to say men are trash, I'm going to take a step back and say, I do not believe in that. So I'm not a feminist. So we just wanted to get a clear understanding on that.
I am from the South African Youth Council in KwaZulu-Natal. Greetings, and thank you so much, Dr. Kamini, for the presentation. Our group and I have had 4 questions that we'd like to pose. The first one is regarding feminism. Is there an Afrocentric feminism? Like a feminism that speaks to the black woman, a feminism that speaks to how, as black women and Africans, we live, because very often we identify the feminist movement is a movement that came predominantly from the West, and for white women who wanted maybe to be able to get the right to smoke and do whatever, you know, but it never really relates much to our context as black women. As a mother, as a wife, I want to be able to embrace that, and as a black woman, I want to be able to do that and be a homemaker, but still a feminism. Is there a feminism that accommodates such and does not regard me as less feminist in that nature? So that's question number 1. Question number 2 is relating to whether or not do we really need a sector of our own as women. Are we to be recognized as human beings or as women? Because very often you don't find that, for example, from my political party, there is no men's league or men's forum. There is men, but there is then a women's league. You know what I'm trying to say? And that, I understand the intention. Perhaps we see that the intention is to enable us to go into spaces that are closed as a group. But very often it is used now by men in patriarchy to our disadvantage. Because now it is made to seem as though it's a sickness. We are told that no, there's 6 delegates from KZN, but 2 are women. So there's 6 people, it means there's 4 people, and then there's 2 women. Women are the other. They are not recognized as individuals. So we want to interrogate that concept to see how does it really work? Is it really working for us? Do we really need to have a sector, or do we really just need to be recognized as human beings who exist, same as men? Number 3, it is the concept of the Rokimbo order. Yeah, well, it's a phrase that we use very often, but there has been some discrepancies around whether or not does it not also put us a bit at a back foot. We understand it's about strength and all of that. Maybe some of us, when we hear that word, we get triggered and we're like, but me now I'm a marshmallow, I'm not a rock, you know? I want to be soft, I want to be pampered. Are we understanding it differently? Maybe let's look at that concept, Dr. Kamini, to say, what does it really mean? Because it could be the reason why when they are meeting us up, they think that that's way because the first one is to say, it's very sensitive, we'd like to make a disclaimer and apologize. It's regarding the LGBTQI community, especially pertaining to gay men and maybe trans men. This is because these are people who have the male advantage on the basis that they are born men or male. However, now, who Dr. Damini had mentioned, in our spaces where people are left out, where certain women are left out, people in the LGBTQI plus community are also left out. And that comprises of trans men and gay men. And for us, it's saying, but these are men primarily, who have come now to be within the spaces. We are saying now we should include those people in the spaces of women. Yeah, well, for me, let's look at, are they then not having a double advantage, an added advantage? And should we be letting them into our space or saying create a safe space for this particular gender? Because now we have a representation of my trauma, who is a man, who is going to be in this space, and I'm expected to share a platform with him because they identify now as women. But primarily, to me as a woman, when I look at you, I say men, and I am triggered one way or the other. So are these people we should include in our spaces, or should we be having designated spaces to say, let's deal with the LGBTQI community separately, as compared to having them in women's spaces? Thank you.
Hello. Imibuzo leminye esibuziwe sicompatible my group kubuye izinto abacele ngoba into ozoyifilm i-radio lapha emplazaneka city. So umbuzo ukuthi oqalisa ukhompani group yami ividiyo ngisho ukuthi eminye isibuziwe but ngokuza ethu nje kuphela. Oqala ukuthi how can we change noma what does advice Dr. Dlamini have on men who are still looking down on women? The second question uthi we also ukuthi ukwenzakalani lapha kwi-conference ANC la ikhona la eThekwini sibona khona ukuthi abantu besifazane abaningi baselethola ama-position. Ufuna ukutshela ukuthi lokho kuthini as umuntu wesifazane kusukela manje kuya phambili nokuthi mhlawumbe kumele ngisapothayo noma mhlawumbe kumele sithi asimthembi umuntu wesifazane njengoba nje sinoprimo wokuqala wesifazane ngabantu abaningi abasathi no asimthembi. Kusho ukuthini lokho ngumuntu wesifazane kusukela manje kuya phambili?
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry about this, just thought of this question. So we were wondering, how do we engage the church and family structures when it comes to women empowerment? Because I'm sure all of you guys have gone through this, well, mostly black families. You see how chores and rules are determined by gender, you know, and how in churches it's worse, people love quoting, women submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. However, they do not mention that it also boils down to say, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved us. So how do we engage people, family structure and the churches to make them aware of the patriarchal structures that we're forcing them to believe? Thank you.
Sorry, my name is Biweb Da. I'm from